We're so glad to have you stay with us on the program this morning. Quickly, let's jump right on the next discussion. I'm joined by two gentlemen to help do justice to this one that focuses on Nigeria's security challenge. Some say it has become hydra-headed. Obviously, that is not a good word, but let's look at the factors actually that led us to where we are and what we should be doing to be able to, maybe not nip it in the bud, of course, but to be able to cut it to its barest. I'm joined by Solomon Wisdom Akigbe, legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I also have here Pastor Joseph Osagede. He's a public affairs commentator. Thanks for coming as well.
Thank you very much.
Let's put the discussion on the road. Akigbe, let's talk about, first of all, the Boko Haram, because every time you talk about security in this country, it will appear that is the first that crosses people's minds. How well have we, how have we fared, basically, in dealing with this scourge?
Yes. Now, basically, Boko Haram is a new innovation in Nigeria.
Innovation?
Yes. It has never really happened. So when the thing cropped up, it became difficult for the Nigerian government under Jonathan to address the issue because it has never happened before. Now, I can say with hindsight that they are doing very fine. It's a strange occurrence, and we have dealt with it, and we are still living with it. To the best of my knowledge, I think we are doing our best to make sure that the harm being done against the Nigerian populace is reduced. The
harm being done.
Yes.
You want to help us do an assessment of that harm now, because it will appear that has rubbed off basically not just on the northeastern part of the country, but it is beginning to have a spillover effect now. You want to react to that?
Yes, but in reacting to that, I think it is good for us to look back at the origin of this scourge.
Yes.
And looking back, you will identify some major issues that led to this Boko Haram. The first being that we are so much antagonistic towards opposition in the political realm. And that's what gave birth to Boko Haram, when a governor raised up some group of boys to terrorize and harass what he perceived as his political enemies.
And that still stands as an allegation.
Well, yes, you could, but the facts are there. The facts are there when Boko Haram took off in Borno State. We know who was the governor then. We know who was financing them. But the thing grew out of his hands, and foreign interests now entered, and the boys now became a terrorist group. Having said that, I also want to point out that if we wanted to curb Boko Haram at that time, it was the man who initiated it that would have been able to stop it. You know, this attitude of wanting to eliminate your opposition, eliminate your opponent in politics, is leading us nowhere other than self-destruction. Outside of Boko Haram, we're having an organized killer squad in this country now that nobody is really taking very serious look at. And that is what we call, we generally call them the Fulani.
And I'm ready to celebrate you. Recession or no recession?
That's my mommy. Where are we going this time around?
ITV Radio Peperepe Samalata, of course. Their pedigree in events of this nature is not a doubt.
Yes, I love it there at Peperepe Samalata.
You are the whole blood day.
Great Nigerian children. Independent television and radio is super ready to tickle and tantalize you this period. Goni Abinisho. We go twirl every child we give for get ban, and anybody will win for competition like Mad Pass competition, cultural dance competition, Little Prince and Princess competition, dance competition, HM Terra go collect another gift goza. Oh, Kori Wobodo, This is Luis Welekweke. Remember, say Games Garden Day can't pay for all more them. No slack, oh. So parents, guardians, school proprietors, principals, headmasters, headmistress, teachers, we dey expect una kponkwe. Date Saturday 27th May 2017. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Venue Independent Television and Radio Corporate Office, Glass House Airport Road, Benin City. Gate fee 500 naira per person. This show is proudly supported by KC Devices Phone Shop, Laptop, Phone Accessories, Glo and MTN Services, 60 Airport Road, opposite Federal Inland Revenue Services, and Shop 68 for Business Shopping Complex, opposite Upper Market, beside the police station, Benin City. Independent Television and Radio Peperepe Samalata, tantalizing the Samalatas.
Pastor Sagede, a while ago, you were making a point as to how we got to where we are, and you were trying to carve a kind of perspective.
Yes, I was saying that Boko Haram that we have today, that has become an international terrorist organization in Nigeria, took off as, well, you say this is an allegation, you might say it's an allegation, but I know that it took off as a governor's team of men and young boys that he wanted to use to victimize his political opponents. And that attitude of, I must crush my political opponents, I must kill my political opponents, is a very bad syndrome in our body politics. And it's allowing a lot of things to happen, and if not checked on time, it's derailing the nation. Again, you listened recently to former President Goodluck Jonathan. He said there was so much tension during the election, to the extent that the Americans had put a warship at the Gulf of Guinea. You know, and if
what was the objective behind it?
Yes, I'm coming to link it with the terror issue in Nigeria. And he said that there was so much tension all over the country that if he had not considered, there would have been bloodshed all over the country. And then you now begin to look at the rate at which the herdsmen in Enugu, the herdsmen in Oyo, the herdsmen in Bauchi, the herdsmen in Jos, in Plateau State, the rate at which they are armed. So you know that this is not a group of herdsmen that just got one arm or a few arms yesterday here. It means there is an organized arming of this terrorist group. And if we don't nip this one in the bud now, it will become more dangerous than Boko Haram, because Boko Haram is localized in a place. But these herdsmen, the terrorist herdsmen, they are spread all over Nigeria. And if they strike anywhere, they have the capacity to strike in Bauchi, in Jos, in Enugu, in Port Harcourt, in Benin. God forbid it will never happen in Benin, in the parts of the West. So what led to this? Because people anticipated that Jonathan was not going to hand over. And they want to create mayhem everywhere. They want to create chaos everywhere. And suddenly the man handed over. And to retrieve these arms from them now is becoming a very difficult thing. So let's not see the facts and run away from them. Because we have no reason in this country now. Look, after elections, there should be no politicking. Everybody should work together. The president is the president of Nigeria. Even if I'm UPGA and he's APC, you are PDP, he is our president. So let all of us join hands to help him solve this problem, if indeed he wants it solved.
Okay, let me come back to Akibe. Let's talk about the herdsmen he just alluded to.
Yeah.
I mean, it has become a phenomenon for something very negative. I mean, every now and then you have attacks in places like Benue States, Enugu, as you already also alluded to. What exactly led us here? Because herdsmen, as we knew, were just a bunch of cattle rustlers, exactly. But today, it's like the conversation has changed drastically.
Yes, if I'm very, very frank with you, the herdsmen normally arm themselves for protection.
Okay.
In case they are going about their normal business, they want to fortify themselves against any attacks. But it came to a point that when this Boko Haram came on board, they were insisting that everybody has to be Muslims. These are facts, clear practical facts. And they have to take some Christians and compel them at the risk of death to become Muslims. And Buhari happened to be a Fulani man. So they believe there is a leader they have that can give them body coverage. And so started to rape, to destroy, and cause fundamental mayhem all over the places. So the point is this, that their target is to reduce everybody to become Muslims. That is religion. And by doing that, they believe that if they do it, then they will go to their heaven. So the menace this caused by them is as a result of the religious intonation. This is my belief. That is why each time they raid a particular community, they compel them to become Muslims. If they refuse, they behead them, they kill them. That's the problem.
I mean, just not so long ago, we're told that Boko Haram had been technically defeated. Then later we heard that they had been, well, incapacitated in such a way that they couldn't pull off attacks anymore. But we still see pockets of attacks here and there.
It is normal. Before they were located in Sambisa Forest,
yes,
that was their base. And the federal government invaded that base and they get scattered. Because they still have some grudges in their mind. Some of them believe that the traditional Muslims are not doing the right thing. You know, they are fanatics. So they are still pursuing an agenda. But yes, technically they are defeated, but they are not as dangerous as they used to be.
That's the whole idea.
Yes, every now and then they bomb, but now it has reduced. So technically they have defeated them, but they are still in all places. Even America, there are terrorists there. In civilized countries, they are still there. But only in Nigeria, they are reducing now. I must give credit to the government.
Let's quickly look at the role of security agencies, because we can't talk about all of this and not find a way to bring security agencies into the picture. You want to help us do a frank assessment of how they have also contributed to the fights against insurgency?
Well, I'm always very objective in making this kind of analysis. And I believe that our security operatives, particularly the chieftains in the security industry, have failed this nation woefully. Because if you look at the rate at which arms, small arms and ammunition enter into this country, you begin to wonder whether we have borders, whether we have customs, whether we have security agencies. If you look at how Boko Haram is financed and equipped, then you know that our secret society, our secret service is doing absolutely nothing. Because in a sane society, in a civilized and disciplined society, they would have sat down over the years to know where the funds are coming in from, to know who is funding, to know how they are being equipped, so that you can tackle it. You see, my colleague here made a reference to herdsmen attacking you when they are provoked, but perhaps you have really not followed the sequence of herdsmen's attack. I'm coming back to the role of the operatives, but I just want to establish something. That when a herdsman is attacked in the bush, or they rape and maim anybody in the farm, and then you raise alarm and maybe some youths come chasing them and they're able to catch one, or whatever happens, or they run away, they go back somewhere to go and report to the people. Now, I want us to look at a possible scenario that the owners of the herds might be the people who have this stock of arms, and they have a lot of young boys who are virtually doing nothing, but they are able to operate arms. And so when you come to complain to them that, oh, they killed one of my cattle while we were grazing in a farm somewhere, and the people attacked us, they first of all send spies to go and look at that village, survey it around, and then in the middle of the night, they come and attack that village. It is not those herdsmen that you saw carrying cattle that will come and attack you. It's a different group of persons.
Do we have proof to that effect?
Yeah, I just said I wanted to create a scenario. You know, you see, these are things, these are options that the security organization should be thinking about. Is it that there is an armed catches somewhere that they go to pull from, and then go and attack, and then return the arms there, and then they all disappear? Why have we not been able to bust this hydra-headed issue called Fulani herdsmen? Now, it it takes us back to the point I was making initially, that our security operatives are not proactive enough. They are not doing anything to make us feel safe. Anything can just happen in this country. Anything can happen at any time. Because to start with, they don't know where the arms are even coming in from. Some said, oh, it was the crisis in Libya when they finished. Some Nigerian businessmen went to shipping the arms. Some say, oh, it was the war in Liberia. That after the war, our people now started bringing the arms and ammunition from Liberia. Where are we today? There are so much illicit and illegal arms in Nigeria. Why can't the army and the police give an order that if you know you are armed, surrender? Otherwise, if you find arms in your hand in the next 3 months, we are going to shoot.
So you give people a window to surrender their arms.
There's so much illegal arms in this country, and that's once a man is armed. Americans say when the father knows his son has a gun in the house, he knows how to talk to him. You don't talk to a son that has a gun in the house and be serving him early in the morning. You could just bring out the gun and say, what the hell are you talking about? You know, so we must begin to think deep. Where are these arms coming in from?
Some persons have talked about, by the way, issues of, the issue of porous borders. At the time, we were told that we had over 120 porous borders.
Entry points.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are we plugging those holes?
I should be asking you, because you are the journalist. You should do the research and tell us that, oh, they are plugging those holes. But I tell you today, they are even discovering more routes into this country.
Through which they bring in arms?
Through which they must bring in arms. And didn't you hear recently, I heard it from your own news here, that there was a ship, a container load of arms, AK-47. And suddenly they said some customs officers cleared it, even when they had seized it.
I think you're referring to the issue of the 600 plus pump action rifles.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't remember the exact figure, but 600 pump action entering into this country, and it was seized, and some customs people cleared it. Yeah. In the same country, such persons should be sent to life imprisonment.
Let me come back to Akibe quickly. Let's talk about conspiracy theory. Do you see any of that here?
Yes, now, I do not think whether the security agents has failed woefully.
Okay.
No. Because if you consider the American scenario, September 11, America is suffocated, but they were still able to penetrate the airwaves and destroyed that place. Are you telling me that security today in America is bad? No. But Nigeria, they are doing their very best. There are so many arms they have apprehended, good or bad. So they are doing their best based on the situation they find themselves. I'm not saying there are no moral turpitude, there are no limitations, no restrictions, no weakness in their life. No, it will be improved. So I submit they are doing their very best.
Let's talk about conspiracy theory. Do you see any of that in all this?
No, I don't see. Because I believe that Nigeria will succeed. I don't believe any country wants to destroy Nigeria. For what reason? So the conspiracy theory, I don't see anything in it.
Okay.
So let me just add to the point you made.
Yeah.
You know, any country in the world can be given a surprise attack.
Including Nigeria.
Including Nigeria, including US. The 9/11 bomb was a big surprise to everybody.
If they are on ground,
Yes, sir.
then they should postpone it.
No, I'm coming, sir. There's a point I'm going.
Okay.
But Americans took time to analyze who did this. They pinned it down to a man, Osama bin Laden. And they set up, they went into their drawing board. How do we get this man? Because for us to show to Americans that we are working, we need to get this man. And they went out. They did, that's intelligence work. A man has been terrorizing Nigeria, Abubakar Shakarau has been terrorizing Nigeria. He will come on air and make noise. Nobody has been able to track him down after all these years. Americans tracked down Osama bin Laden 3 years before they killed him. They started working on him. They now discovered the man who was taking things to him, who was collecting the mails, who was collecting the money that people were sending from different areas, how he was doing it. Meanwhile, the man was a cattle seller, goat seller. He would be selling goats in the market. Yet he was coordinating for. They came, bought goods from him, made friends with him, and started passing money and parcels through him to Osama bin Laden. Not knowing that the things were tracked. So they followed him till they knew exactly where Osama bin Laden was. They did a thorough survey. The day they attacked him, because he was living directly behind the military barracks in Pakistan. Directly behind, or in Afghanistan, sorry. Yeah. Not Pakistan, Afghanistan. He was living directly behind army barracks. So it would be very difficult for you to come and think that he'll be living there.
Or even raid.
Or even raid, yes. But the Americans knew when the soldiers would go on parade in the morning, and then they would retire at about 9:30. They came in at about 10. Raided the house and got the job done. Yes, that's because the intelligence is functional. Our intelligence system is non-functional. I'm not saying they are not doing well, but they are not doing enough.
Okay, that's the point.
Yes, they are not doing enough. They are not doing anything to track the movement of arms in Nigeria. They are not doing anything to. Have you heard that they have arrested one Boko Haram, one herdsman, or any of the herdsmen that's terrorizing this country? They have not been able to. They have not been able to fathom where did these people get their arms? When they finish attack, where do they go? Even if it takes some time, you should be able to track such things.
Yes, it took time for the Americans to get Osama bin Laden. You understand? So, and now this Boko Haram thing in Nigeria is sold to us. So it will also take them time to track down these people, and they're trying their best.
But it's not taking too long.
No, it's not taking too long. My own submission is that they are trying their very best. Based on the situation they find themselves, it will take time. But don't forget one thing, that they have been picking some of the leaders of the Boko Haram, and it's clear, it's how the put it, the facts are there, that there are some Boko Haram leaders that have been apprehended. So we should give them time and encourage them, to get the real man. But they're trying, based on the situation they find themselves. America is a sophisticated organization and country, and they were able to deal with Americans and destroy that terror. And they take it at the peak of Osama bin Laden. So Nigeria is also developing.
When I opened this discussion, I said the security challenge in this country is hydra-headed. Then that also brings in the element of kidnapping, as we have come to see.
That's right.
People get kidnapped here and there. And then, of course, you hear of some kind of collusion or some kind of connivance between security agencies and these kidnappers and so on and so forth.
Correct.
Are we winning that fight in particular?
Winning that fight 20-30%.
That's poor.
Yes, poor, because it is also strange. It started in River States.
Yes.
Good. It's strange to us. So if you take the security system in Nigeria to be able to capture what is happening, they are still grouping. Now you see, this kidnapper comes in, they take you, they believe that money will come, and they will share this money with the security agents. Some of them, they're in connivance, but it will take time for the real culprit to be brought to book. But I'm believing that they are doing their very best, based on the circumstances in the family.
Pastor Sagade, if you look at the whole...
They need to improve.
Exactly.
Yes.
But my concern, and of course, by extension, concern of most Nigerians now, is that these kidnappers have already started invading schools, especially private schools where you have hostels. Do you see that as another dimension altogether to this theory?
I said to cut it short. Yes, I said to cut it short. The Nigeria is not well policed.
We are under-policed.
Yes, now we are here now. If something happens, it will take time for them to come. But in a civilized country, once you hit an electric pole, within 2 seconds, they are there. So we are under-policed. So there is no how, but how many police do we have in Nigeria? We are about 150 million plus. It's under-policed. So until they improve, they increase the quota they give to police, and make sure that at least we are well policed, these things will continue. That is why we also have to be vigilant on our own. Because if we don't know the police, we will fail. They come to your house now, they pick the battery of your car. Now everybody is getting dogs. Now, why? Because we are under-policed. So my own take is that the federal government should make sure that they increase, the numbers of police they employ every year, so that at least we can feed police state in almost all the localities.
I think the police authorities are even asking the federal government specifically for a number of men to be recruited into the force or the police, as they would want it to be called. Now,
So,
I understand that you work, you work in collaboration with the police. You support police work a lot.
Yes, I'm PCRC.
Exactly. So what exactly are some other things you think should be changed? I mean, attitude, of course, he has mentioned intelligence, for instance. That's a very critical element in policing.
Security, the person is themselves have to have good conscience.
Okay.
Let them forget about how much they are paid. Let's forget about what they be rewarded with. And let them use that.
Is it possible to do that?
Yes, yes. If we address our mindset, basically, you are there to protect us. You know, so forget about the monetary aspect first and just clean. There is a way God rewards everybody. So what I will advise them is that let them do their work conscientiously. God has a way of rewarding. A part of intelligence, use the mind. You can gather intelligence without moving to leave those things in the boat. Why? Because the mindset is not. They just believe, do what they want to do, I don't want to die yet, and so on. But if they have minds on their own, and say, man, I'm in this system to defend the Nigerian populace. No matter what happens, they take a risk.
Let's talk about
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
You know, this might interest you. Immediately after the Second World War, the Germans discovered that they had fewer men than women, you know, and 80% of the men that were remaining were policemen because they didn't go for the war. They were the police. They became more corrupt than the Nigerian police of today. They were raping their women, they were extorting money, they were doing all sorts of things. Until one interior minister came in, Heinz Meyer, that's his name. He went into the universities, called the university vice chancellors and discussed with them, look, we want to start training a new set of policemen. In all fields, even in agriculture, in engineering, in science, in medicine, all the intakes that year, all over Germany, were being trained academically and as a policeman. It was the American soldiers then who were there that gave them that military training. They got the second batch to join them. They got the third batch to join them. By the time they were 4 years, the first batch had already been well groomed and trained. They were strong, they were looking fit. The man went to Volkswagen and went to Mercedes in Germany and said, develop fast-moving cars for me. Big engines that can run faster than any car that's available now. They developed the engines. They said, look, these big guns that can kill, you know, I want you to put it into a pistol for me. Put the power into a pistol. They developed powerful pistols and give to them. As at that time, the man developed a kind of mini computer where they can just tap in your name and know who you were. The day he launched that police into the German society, he retired all the policemen, all, from the top to the bottom. And a new set of policemen came on board in Germany with a new uniform, with new outlook, with new kits.
Well, was there a new mindset too?
Oh yes, with a new mindset completely, my brother. When a German police knocks at the door of a German and he says, who is that? He says, it's German police. He might pee on his body. A German, not to talk of foreigner. A German will almost pee on his body. So what am I saying? We need a different orientation. There is nothing you can do to these police today now that can change them.
That sounds hopeless, doesn't it?
No. I'm not. Look, I'm a very realistic person. If we want to really turn this country around, we must have sound policemen who are educated and who are sound in morals and in character to standard policemen so that they can help us. Now, why did I go all that far? I'm saying that to police a nation, there are many things that we are getting wrong because the police are not doing their job. If the police have been doing their job as they ought to do, we will find a situation where kidnappers will be having, will be in connivance with security operatives to carry out their functions. That's an allegation which I cannot prove, but I am thinking that if such happens, then where are we? If there's even there are even speculations that the high-profile kidnappings taking place in this country is carried out by the military or by the force themselves.
That's yet another allegation.
Again, another allegation. But you see, in the midst of plenty allegations, some facts begin to emerge. And unless you tackle those facts, unless you face those facts in reality, you might not be able to solve the problem. How on earth can you feel secured if somebody can just come to your compound as you are about to enter your compound and he beats you up, he takes your car and puts you to sit in between men and they drive you away?
Let's wrap this up.
The mindset.
30 seconds.
The mindset is my emphasis.
Yes.
If you watch business football, you see the policemen on guide. If they score, they are just there. If they are
looking at the crowd.
Yes,
no, they are facing the crowd.
They are facing as if they are pillars. They don't move. Because they have been orientated to that extent. But in Nigeria, put the policeman there, you see they move up and down. Why? Because their mindset is not fixed.
And when they score, you see them.
Yes, but it's not like that. So my emphasis is that these security people, personnel, they should learn to have a correct mindset. If I come as a kidnapper, say, please, connect me, let's speak this out. No, my conscience will permit me. So no matter the training, if the mindset is negative, we're going to have negative results.
All right, so let's hope we get it right with mindset and everything else will fall in place, hopefully. I've been talking with Solomon Wisdom Ahigbe, a legal practitioner based in Benin. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Then Pastor Joseph Osagede, a public affairs commentator. Thank you for coming to the program.
You're welcome.
All right, I hope we have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
All right, up next will be the news update for this time with Ugochukwu Bamidele standing by. I'll be back to wrap it up on TMI Monday.